Welcome to week 3 of Global Health 620. At this point, you all should have completed test 1 in Canvas. Please reach out via email if you did not meet the test 1 deadline or the assignment 1 deadline. This week we'll be reviewing textbook concepts in chapters 5 through 10 and preparing for assignment number 2 and assignment number 3, as well as the midterm. According to the syllabus, you should have read up to chapter 6 by Tuesday, September the 3rd, and you should read up to chapter 10 by Thursday the 5th. That puts you halfway through the textbook, and today I'm going to present some of the more testable concepts. But first, as announced on Sunday, it's important that each of you confirm with me this week which Kentucky reportable disease or condition you've decided to work on for the rest of the term. You'll be working on that same disease or condition in the same 2 geographic areas for the rest of the term, including your midterm and final project and presentations. Here's the initial list of choices combining all reportable diseases that students were considering during assignment 1. In class Tuesday, we confirmed which students in section 1 are going to study syphilis, malaria, mpox, and lead poisoning. For assignment 2, those students will be focusing in on their social determinants of health framework and discovering state instructions for reporting disease in Kentucky and instructions, if they exist, for particular provinces in the Netherlands, countries in the UK or EU, and particular states in Mexico. Now, I haven't received disease and area selections from everybody in the online section, so you do need to get working on these right away. If you haven't already, email me today confirming your Kentucky reportable disease of interest and non-US area of interest. I've posted a detailed rubric for the midterm and final. You can find that under week 3 in Canvas and use that to build out your midterm assignments, including paper, tables, and figures. I'll show you the rubric at the end of this lecture. As we continue reading, we should be going back into our own working Excel tables. You can see I'm adding more chapter citations and article and website citations, or links at least, related to HCV in Kentucky and Hong Kong. You should be adding more of your own government website links and identifying chapters and scholarly articles that are specifically related to your research paper and area estimates, and develop your reportable disease profile. Just clicking through the links in the Kentucky list of reportable diseases will get you to the CDC case definition. Go from there and continue developing your tables and maps to support your research paper. It's important to cite all links in government websites that you're looking at when they apply to your areas of interest, even if you're reporting that you could not find the information that you're looking for. Basically, just show your work when you're searching websites. Show that work in your Excel spreadsheet. That'll make it easier to write up your research paper and include citations that'll ultimately go into your bibliography. Those don't need to be in any particular APA or AMA style, as long as they include sufficient information. Getting back to the readings, Chapter 5 covered reproductive health. It's important to know basic reproductive health definitions, understand trends in population growth and specific concerns with women's health and the impact of reproductive patterns on the health of children. Understand how different indices are used to monitor and compare health across countries. understand impacts of patterns on children, such as short birth intervals, unwanted pregnancy, etc. Understand impacts of patterns on women, specific causes of pregnancy-related morbidity and mortality. Also study mechanisms to reduce maternal mortality and morbidity, particularly obstetric care. Chapter 6, I would read pretty carefully all of Chapter 6, as infectious diseases is such an important set of readings for MPH students. Look into vector control and different forms of control. Understand the key definitions in this chapter. Expanded program on immunization. And really just read through all of the diseases and descriptions that are highlighted in this chapter, including polio, prevention and treatment of polio, related risk factors, approaches, look into measles, risk factors, theory of eradication, other diseases including pertussis, challenges in controlling pertussis, including laboratory diagnosis, tetanus, respiratory infection, common enteric infections from E. coli, Shigella, Salmonella, rotavirus, meningitis, epidemics, tuberculosis, TB strategies, understand AIDS disparities and sexually transmitted infections. Review the different types of hepatitis, malaria, different kinds of worms, hemorrhagic fevers, infections, and causes of blindness. Also read into emerging and re-emerging diseases like SARS. Also, it's important to understand how the Global Alert Network functions. I'd spend less time on Chapter 7, nutrition, unless it relates to your research. It's important to understand the burden of malnutrition, undernutrition consequences, how to use growth charts, anthropometric indicators in children, maybe read through vitamin deficiency, understand anemia, consequences of iodine deficiency, obesity epidemic, and successful nutrition intervention. I'd also spend less time on Chapter 8, chronic disease, unless it relates to your understand causes and impacts, different categories of chronic disease. Maybe review some of the risk factors for selected countries. Getting into Chapter 9, unintentional injuries and violence, I'd also spend less time here unless it relates to your paper. My own example, this chapter is important because people living with hepatitis C are more likely to die from unintentional opioid overdose in combination with other drugs, drug poisonings, and related injuries and violence. It's important to understand roles of national and international organizations and advocacy in this chapter. Chapter 10, Global Mental Health, is short, but important if it relates to your research paper. It's important to understand that there are different systems for classifying mental disorders. It's very important to understand the cultural formulation in the DSM-5 and how unreliable diagnoses may be across clinician and culture. There really are many limitations in our measures and treatments for mental disorders, but you won't be tested on the details of treatments. That concludes the review of chapters and concepts that we've covered up to Test 2 and the midterm. So please take a look at the rubric that's posted under Week 3 module in Canvas and get started on your midterm paper and watch for upcoming assignments. Notice that your paper should begin with an author bio sketch, and that's just a few sentences that should explain in more detail your academic degrees and any related work experience. That is, work related to the topic you've selected to focus in on. Following that is our different subsections to organize your literature review, results of your disease profile in Kentucky, and your other non-US area of interest. I'll be asking you in assignments 2 and 3 to add more information from Chapter 4, the Determinants of Health framework, and chapters and articles and websites that you find on your own that are related to your disease and areas of interest. Remember to save links to all the sites that you search on the internet. At the bottom of the rubric, there are instructions for your midterm presentation. Prepare to record that and reach out if you have any kinds of questions or concerns related to preparing the 10-minute video recorded presentation of the midterm paper or developing the paper itself. And have a great evening.